I think I've visited a couple times. I've just been running around since I've been back. I've been back about a month now, and I'll be sharing I know you guys like stories, I like pictures. I took a lot, and I have some videos here that you guys might find interesting, but I was out in the Middle East. I think I might have pressed the wrong button. Let me go there. Yeah. I was out in the Middle East leading what is called Youth Rush. It is one of our canvassing teams out there. I had been in the work for 8 years previous to this, and I kind of moved back to the Bay Area and got into the business world and kind of was just hustling in that, but I started seeing that there was a hole in my heart again that I seemed to keep chasing after, which hence the title, The Deception of Happiness. And so I kind of went on a hunt. I went on a little search. I took some time off. I took 4 months off. I quit kind of my corporate job, and I decided, you know what? I want to go and do some mission work. I want to go kind of ground myself again on what is important. And so I decided to come out here, and this is my group of students. A lot of people ask me, this picture was taken in Beirut, Lebanon, 4 months ago. And everybody asks me, where do your students come from? Are they from the U.S. or whatnot? No, a majority of them are students there at the university in Beirut. And so it's really interesting. There's a lot of, for example, there's a lot of Brazilians out there. I didn't know that. There's a lot of Brazilians out in Lebanon. And there's a lot of Lebanese in Brazil. Kind of interesting. So they have a program that they have Brazilian transfer students to go and learn some mission work. So she's Brazilian, spoke no Arabic, but was still going and canvassing in an Arabic-speaking country. She's full Brazilian, didn't speak English or Arabic, and still canvassed out here. It was really awesome. But we have a lot of other students. He's half Lebanese, half Russian, half Brazilian, half Lebanese, half Romanian, half Lebanese, half Nigerian, half Lebanese. So there's a lot of mixes in there. But then there's Egyptian, and he's the one Lebanese student, so that was good. We had one at least. But it was an awesome opportunity. It was an awesome experience. It was life-changing and eye-opening. I'm going to show you guys some videos that really were kind of wild. Okay, so this is me learning how to drive in Lebanon. It's like a 7-way stop.
No lights in this country.
Yeah, there's no lights.
You're going out right after this car.
I got this. Watch this. Watch me hit some.
So I'm going, and then there's a car coming up the one way. This is normal.
All right, this is a perfect example of driving in Lebanon.
Yes.
So I'm going to teach you guys next time.
So this was a great example of driving in Lebanon was like anxiety the whole time. It's really interesting because you can have a two-way road, and it's a very, very common practice to just park in the middle of the road, take your keys, and go and do your business, turning that two-lane street into a one-way where people are all fighting to get through. It's really interesting. As you saw there, it's like a 7-way stop. The street lights don't work out there. They haven't been working out because they're trying to save on electricity. So it was crazy, and I try to explain that canvassing leading is already hard in the United States. This was another level. So, on my pursuit of happiness and trying to find all that, I found more anxiety. So, you guys are gonna enjoy this next video, all right? This is right after the gym. In the afternoon, found some time, and we'll just enjoy.
Oh, hear that? Oh yeah, here I was sending you. This is me sending you good luck. Explosions are going on around me.
You can see the flashes of explosions happening around me. I'm like, oh, maybe it's time to go back inside. People, I didn't realize how crazy things have gone, and this was just the start of it, and right now it is worse than ever. And it's really crazy because, I showed you guys the picture of the students. I'm messaging back and forth with them, asking if they're okay and whatnot, and they're telling me all about how much crazier it has gotten. And it has been an eye-opening and humbling experience for me. But amidst the craziness, there's so much beauty. This is what Lebanon looks like. It's it's on the coast. It's gorgeous. It's green everywhere. It's weather. This is one of the little villages that we worked at the very end. We were going canvassing, and this is a big canyon right there. It goes all the way down. So this is literally on the top of the mountain, and we're just going. The people are so loving and so caring, and it's just absolutely gorgeous and eye-opening. And, along with myself, I wanted to go and explore a little bit more. And so I had the great idea to go to the biggest mosque in Lebanon, in Beirut, and blend in because I look like everybody, okay? So I go and I join an Islamic worship service. Different experience than I was expecting. It was huge, beautiful, eye-opening. It was just, I don't think they would have been very happy if, number one, they knew I was Christian, but number two, American there. That wouldn't have been very good. But luckily they didn't ask me because, as I said, I look like everybody, But it was an amazing encounter, like jaw-dropping, the devotion that they have. And I was trying to really find, everywhere I went, I was trying to find the differences in the culture. What makes these people so devoted, so happy? I feel like, I'm going to jump into it in a little bit, but going over statistics of depression here in the United States and really diving into that, looking as someone who struggled with that, it's so deep. It's so deeply rooted in our culture. It's so deeply rooted in our lives. And so I kept searching, more and more experiences. I went and it looks like I took a flight to Mars, but right here I went and slept in the desert, actually. And this is not in Lebanon anymore. This is actually in Jordan now. So I flew over to another country and I stayed in the desert in Jordan. People ask me, Manny, why would you want to do that? Well, simply to experience stuff like this. These are pictures taken just from my phone, no special camera, no nothing. That's how, I wish we could even see a little bit better, but this is how bright the stars were. Like, they were shining, brightest stars I've ever seen in my life. It was just, you could see, okay, you can't even see that here. But if the light was off, you could see the Milky Way right there. It was just, you could just see it all. And it was gorgeous. I don't know if we could even, yeah, sure, maybe we can hit those lights. But I'll jump back to it right now. But these pictures of the Milky Way and my experience out here was just amazing. I got to go to Petra, okay? I got to go visit Petra, Jordan. That was an amazing experience. I was just so blessed to do that, just even more so. The crazy thing is, which one's the Mexican here, It's like nobody knows, I look like, I'm not even kidding. I just go through those towns and everybody, Habibi. I'm like, Espanol? Don't know how to go about it. But I'm going through and exploring all these different places. This was in Istanbul, Turkey, okay? So I took a flight. This was my last little leg of the trip. And this is one of the biggest mosques they have out there in the east, okay? Gorgeous, gorgeous. On the inside, it's just all gold. Okay, on the inside, this was built in the, I think, 13th or 14th century, during one of those times when it was Constantinople. And I wish I could show you guys this. I wish I could zoom in here. But this is it in size. Those little ants right there are people. And those little dots right there and just the size of it. I think people are saying, okay, that's like the first floor, second floor. This is like the fourth floor, fifth floor, almost sixth. And then it goes all the way up there. And you can only imagine. I can only explain it so much. And I really just started doing some deep thinking amidst all of this. And the questions that came to my mind is, what is happiness in the middle of it? What is that? How does one pursue, what is this pursuit of happiness? They make movies of these things. Like, what is this? It seems like happiness is so fleeting. And how long does this happiness last. Here's some statistics that I found kind of interesting. Statistics on depression, okay? 18.5% of U.S. adults struggle with depression. So that's saying 1 out of every 5 people in here struggle with it, currently struggling with it. This is just currently. This isn't even have at one point in their life struggled with it. The highest percentage is in the ages 18 to 24, which is about 21.5% of young adults struggle with depression. You know, especially I feel like in the adulting phase after college when you're trying to figure out who you are outside of, university, where you're going in life, what you want to do and what you want to accomplish, what is your purpose. The lowest seem to be in the ages 65 and up, but still at 14.2%. About 280 million people worldwide struggle with depression. And depression is 50% more common in women than in men. It's these statistics are kind of shocking, eye-opening. And we hear about it a lot about mental health and things like this, but I really started searching, okay, yes, I understand that there's clinical depression and all that, but I knew for myself, I felt like it was more of a way of thinking, way of living. What was the root cause? And I really started doing some searching, and I found this quote that was so deep, it really hit me. It said, "People without direction or happiness will chase pleasure. However, pleasure has a way of never wanting to stay." So many times where you don't know where to go or where to run, or happiness, you're chasing temporary things. I've found things that, whether for myself, I find a ton of pleasure in food. Okay, I love good food. Okay, and I have friends in here who know how excited I get over new food and good food. But so many times food only tastes that good on that first bite, and you can enjoy it, but it seems like that first bite is the highest peak of pleasure, and then it goes down from there until you're full, and then you find no joy in it. And then you have to wait till the next time. Same with so many other things. The high, then you go down. It's really interesting, not just with these things, but consumption with social media or your phone or games or whatever it is that we do to find pleasure in. It seems like at the very beginning it's enjoyable. We enjoy it right then and there, but then we continue to consume it. We continue to use it. And as it says, it has a way of never wanting to stay. I really started doing a little bit more digging, and I think I found a really good answer. And of course, it's not the answer to all depression. It's not the answer to all this, but I found some studies of where happiness comes from. It's really interesting that gratitude versus depression, that gratitude always seems to have an impact. It says gratitude significantly predicts less depression and anxiety symptoms in the general population. This was a study done in 2015 by these names I cannot say. Okay? But the next one, it says, what is gratitude? How does one practice it? And gratitude has been described as an emotion arising from noticing and appreciating the benefits that one has received. This really started making sense because at the end of this message, I'll show you guys another video that I ended up taking out there. But I started seeing the difference between the people around the world versus the people I have been, or the environment I have been surrounded by here. When I was going in, it was at the end of my trip, I had an Airbnb that would kind of overlook the hill. And what's really interesting over there is their apartments, everything is high-rises. Okay, they don't have a lot of space. Little fun fact, I started trying to figure out how small Lebanon was compared to the U.S. Do you know how many Lebanons we can fit just in California, going up and down? 6.5. And then from width size, we can fit 3.5 Lebanons in California itself. It was so if we really just do a quick math with the area, right? It looks like 18 Lebanons in just California alone. So with that, they don't have the space that we do, so they build up. And I'm at the top floor, and I'm sitting there every single night because it's kind of hot and humid, and every single night I go and sit on the balcony and just kind of watch the sunset. And every single night, without fail, families would go in line, go outside, and as a unit, just as a family unit, go and sit and laugh and play and everything. And without fail, every single night, they wouldn't be there for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. They would be there for hours, from like 7 to 11, every single night. And I started asking these questions. I was like, what's up with these people? Like, I see here the family dynamic, really, I don't know what it is, but I sit down and ask myself, when was the last time I had a family dinner? Or had a family hangout and we enjoyed each other's company? You know? I was like, okay, maybe I could count on a couple hands, maybe two hands. Maybe your family's really close-knit and you guys do it often. But every single night I would see these families do that. I would see them laughing. These families who have gone through so much. And this is right now, it's getting bad. But I spoke to the older generation and whatnot, and they said, oh yeah, like in the 80s, it was the worst. Like snipers on buildings shooting at civilians. Like you don't know, like it was just war everywhere. And they just said that you don't know what you have until it's gone. Because they said that our country used to be the most beautiful city. Our Beirut used to be the most beautiful city in that Middle East. Beirut was known for its nightlife and its beauty and its greenery and its ancient history. But now, it's turning into a war-torn country. And these people who had been through it seemed to be some of the happiest people I've met in my life. And I was realizing that I was learning a lot from them because they were saying, Manny, happiness isn't from the things that I go and get, it's from the things that I have. Happiness is being thankful for the family I can spend time with on a day-to-day basis. Happiness is so much more than the things I can consume. It's so much more than the things that I go and set my mind to go and achieve. Those things are fleeting. Happiness comes from the gifts God has given me, and not just taking them for granted, but daily sitting down with my family and being thankful that I have another day to live. That I have another day with my grandchildren, with my siblings, with my parents. It's so easy to take those things for granted. I never realized how American I was until I got over there. I didn't know the difference. I'd go over there and, I'm business background. I'm on the move. I'm like, go, go, go. Like, let's go make things happen. I'm excited. I'm passionate about things. And so I would go the first couple times and I'd be with my students or I'd be with people. They'd invite me to eat, and I should throw some videos out there, but they're like, Manny, come join us for dinner. I was like, okay, that's awesome. What time's dinner? 10. Oh, you guys have it in the morning? No, 10 p.m. What the? I've been asleep for like 2 hours, Like, they're like, oh yeah, come join us for dinner. I was like, all right, let's meet in the middle. Like, let's do 7. And they're like, okay, just for you, right? So I go and I join them, and then we eat our dinner, but I'm wondering, like, where dinner is, because they have, like, appetizers out, right? Because, like, I'm hungry at that point, and they have appetizers, and they have their fresh hummus and fresh, like, baba ganoush was the eggplant, and like, they make their French fries, like, so fresh. Like, they have everything out there. And so, like, we all devour the appetizers, and then we're just sitting there, and I'm like, wait, was this dinner? And they're like, oh no, dinner's coming. 8 p.m. comes, and so I think I got played. But at 8:30 comes, and then they're like, okay, well, we'll bring out the courses now. So then they bring out the courses. I'm like, I already been here an hour and a half. Like here, I don't know, dinner lasts maybe max 2 hours for me, you know? It's like, if I really like the people, you know? But I'm going and sitting there, and then they eating dinner, and you know, you see all these things on social media when like they see how fast people eat or with the spouse or whatnot. Like my plate's empty, and while everybody's just sitting there enjoying, and I'm like, okay, guys, like, what's happening? And these are close friends of mine, so I just asked them straight up. I was like, wait, how long does this last? How long am I supposed to be here? You know? And they're like, oh, we're halfway through. Like, this is your first plate, right? You got 3 more plates in you, right? I was like, how does it work? So I guess what happens over there is dinner, family time or whatever is like a 4-hour period, okay? Like when you go sit at a restaurant, like whatnot, they go and they sit down and they, about for an hour to, you know, they eat the appetizers and then they go eat one round and they sit and talk for like another hour as the food digests and then they bring out a whole other round. Like it's foreign. It's foreign. I didn't fit in very well. Very well. I was trying to run everywhere, you know. But I started to see the difference in the cultures. And I started asking the deeper questions. And they were showing me things that I never thought. But then I got back. And this has been me more recently. Because now I'm back in this culture. And I've been really trying to understand how I can bring those aspects over here into my life. But even with gratitude, I felt like I was missing something. Well, this is one of the quotes. This is beautiful. It says, "It is not happiness that makes us grateful, but it's gratefulness that makes us happy." This is one of the lessons that I really learned and took from over there that I want to bring back over here with myself, in my life, and be able to share. But one of the biggest lessons that I've been learning recently actually comes from an old wise king. An old wise king that had absolutely everything and went on the pursuit of happiness and joy and pleasure and everything. The life of King Solomon started off great, but in the middle of it lost sight of what was truly important and went and tried to go and find joy and fulfillment in, literally, he says in Ecclesiastes, anything I thought of, I did. And I thought to myself, man, maybe I should take some lessons from the wisest person on the world. And at the very end of his life, he sounds like a depressed old man saying everything is worthless. Everything's vanity. And so I've been reading Ecclesiastes, really trying to break it down a little bit. But at the very end of his life, these are, I kind of consider his last words to the world. Okay? Last words to the world in the chapter of almost a depressing book. But there's so much truth in this book. There's so much truth. And these are the last words of the wisest man to ever walk besides Jesus. To us, to humanity. It says, now all has been heard. Here is the conclusion. Here's the end of it. If I could sum it up in these 2 sentences or 2 actions, here it is. Here is the importance of life. Fear God and keep His commandments, for that is the duty of all mankind. 2 things that bring value to life. Yes, we can be as grateful as we can, but if we do not fear God nor follow in His statutes, we will never experience that happiness, no matter how hard we try. This king right here, I feel like he had a little bit more wealth or power than any of us. A little bit more life experience. And this is what he has to say. And this is what I've been currently meditating on more and more. Life is meaningless without gratitude. We cannot be happy. Gratefulness does not come from being happy, but happy comes from being grateful. Let you guys take your picture for that. Put it as your background. And here, fear God and keep his commandments. It was a short and simple message, but I want to leave you with this. This was the beauty of the people over there. Little story is, I'm sitting at a little breakfast cafe, and I meet a couple that I'd really never met before. After conversation, I end up finding out they're getting married the next day. And after a little bit more conversation, they say, hey, you should come to our wedding. I was like, what the heck? You just met me. Like, what? But I was like, you know what? I'm never going to be able to go to a Lebanese wedding again. Why not? And so I decide to go join this wedding, right? I have no idea what I'm doing here. They have the most energy, the most, I've never been a part of a party like this, okay? I would be tired and want to go sit down, and I would go grab a seat, and then somebody would come and pull me back up, and we'd go dance again, and I didn't know what to expect, how to expect it. But at the end of the night, they shared with me this: cheap things versus irreplaceable things. Is things that you can buy can be replaced. Anything you can purchase, anything that you can receive like this, even if it's the most expensive car, most expensive house, those things are actually cheap. Homes, cars, boats, trips, jewelry, all that can be replaced. But the things that have been given for free from birth are irreplaceable. Your mind, your parents, your family, the freedoms you've been given, God, your children, these things that we receive for free in life many times are taken for granted. And it's really interesting that so many times over here, maybe in this environment, this lifestyle, I'm just going to say the Bay Area, so many people are caught in the rat race of, I got to go do this, and I got to go get this, and I got to keep up with the Jones, and I have to have the nicest things. I'm going to go shopping for this, that, and the other. But these things are the real cheap things. And every day, we don't even think about the value, the true value of the things that we have been given for free. And they said, take that home with you, Manny, and share it out there. And here, I just want to leave this with you guys. I know life is hard, and we go through hardships every day, and there's so much pain in this world nowadays. But on the other side of the world, where there is pain and bloodshed and no peace, these are the lessons they have sent with me to give to you guys. So let us be thankful that not only do we have a good God that takes care of us daily, but that we are in a land of peace right now, that we have our loved ones here with us right now, and that we have another day to breathe because so many people didn't get to wake up with that opportunity today. Let's pray. Lord in heaven, thank you so much for your mercy and your grace. Thank you so much for the sacrifice of Jesus, that we have a hope to live a life without pain and suffering, and to live a life with you. Please be with us. Just guide me, guide everybody in this room. And just thank you so much for the hope that you've given us for your soon return. In Jesus' name.